Hello, and welcome to the podcast that discusses all things gaming. Coming to you from the home of Indie PopCon, Gen Con, and the gaming capital of the world, we are the Established Facts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Established Facts. This is episode 215. After our wild Gen Con online experience, which I'm sure we'll summarize up in another episode. For those that don't know, we do sit down and record one or two of these at a time usually, so if we're not talking about Gen Con yet, that's because it hasn't happened. I can't talk about the future. I can think about it, but I can't talk about it. So this is Josh. He'll be your host again today because Don is not here. That said, we're going to go ahead and get into introductions. Then we'll talk about what we're going to talk about. Starting to my right.
Oh, let me see here. Can I be the triangle, Vanessa?
As long as you're not square. Hi, I'm Lance.
I'm the square. I am Dr. Deb.
And again, this is Josh.
I'm in shape. I'm round.
You're round.
What shape are you, Josh?
I've been round for many years.
Oh, you both can't be round.
Then I'm a cylinder because I'm tall and round.
I was thinking shape.
This is all gone pear-shaped.
So we came up with an idea. I think it was after we were done doing our conversation at PopCon, called Two-Word Plot Hooks. And it's an improv game that can be utilized for starting a role-playing game. So we're not going to follow our regular format today. We're just going to get right into this because we thought it'd be a fun little game for us to play and maybe for you to play. So if you guys do decide to play, I'd love to hear some of your two-word plot hooks on our Facebook page, our main page. You can even tweet us at IndieTEF. So with that said, I'm actually going to pass it over to Lance as he is our game master for this interesting improv game.
Okay, so here's how two-word plot hooks works. What we will do is we will take turns coming up with two words that serve as a plot hook that a game master may use in their game. It doesn't have to be the main hook. It could be a side quest. It could be anything. But two words. Typically, it's an adjective and a noun. It could be two nouns. It could be any parts of speech, but two words. We'll then go around the table and each describe the hook that those two words inspired. And we'll do an example round just to kind of get people going. And if there are any questions at the end of that, then I'll feel free to answer them, and then we'll start the game. So, we are going to play a fantasy-based game. And the two words are summer nights. Deb, what does summer nights inspire in you?
Camping.
Camping, okay. So what's the hook?
So we're in a high fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
So we're an adventuring party whose main purpose is to cross an enormous forest to be able to bring an important message from the king and where we're at to that king. And we are traveling over the summer, and the only time that we can travel safely is actually at night, unlike during the day. Because in this particular world, these creatures actually sleep at night. They don't hunt at night. They hunt during... Actually, I've got it reversed, don't I? Hold on. The creatures sleep during the day, and they hunt at night.
They're nocturnal.
They're nocturnal. So we need to be awake and traveling and alert to what they're doing, and not asleep when they can eat us. So... Okay. Is that what we're going for?
Yeah, totally. That works. Josh, you were humming just a little bit under the microphone as I said it. So what does Summer Nights inspire in you?
Well, so first off, as soon as I heard Summer Nights, I immediately went to Grease the Musical. But that doesn't really fit the fantasy realm.
Oh, they were fantasizing.
Well, that's...
Maybe a bard.
Sandy died. Didn't you hear that?
Maybe a bard performing.
Well, so I took the Summer Nights and went fantasy, and the first thing that came to mind was desert. So similar to what Deb said, but mine was more a So in the Pathfinder world of Galarian, they have an area, I think it's called Assyria, or the Assyrian. I can't remember the exact location, but it's
Syria.
Syria, I believe it's right. Yeah, it is, and it is basically Egypt, if you imagine it now. So lots of sand, pyramids and tombs and regalia and everything along those lines. So
But the desert kind, not the South American kind.
correct. So it would be the adventuring party, if it is role playing related, is called to this particular location out in the desert to help stop a newly resurrected mummy, something along those lines. That's kind of when I took it the fantasy route. That's what came up.
Cool. Vanessa?
I went straight Shakespeare. Thinking of, Puck and all that. So
A Midsummer Night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I went.
So
soon
what's
as you
the hook?
Well, we got somebody that's going in and messing with people and with Puck and
You got Puck. Okay.
well, I mean, he goes in and he totally messes up all of their relationships. So you could easily make somebody being antagonistic in like switching out things, moving something to somewhere else, so that way somebody thinks that they stole it, to add strife or distrust in amongst your group and stuff like that. I mean, that's pretty much. And at the end, they finally figure out, and everybody
Who
gets
did
all
it,
happy
and everybody gets happy and
then,
understands. And
Right on. Very cool. All right. Mine was a play on the word nights. Instead of the evening time, I chose the warriors that work for a king, K-N-I-G-H-T, nights. So mine is summer nights. And with mine, the king travels through his realm. There are 4 different sections of the realm, one for each season. So he spends the summer season with his summer nights. He spends the winter season with his winter nights. And so the plot hook there is, as the king is traveling, something has happened where the summer nights, their castle is frozen. And that's not something that's usual, so we have to figure out why the summer nights are frozen. And is it the winter nights? Are they trying to take over and get more territory? Has someone done something to frame the winter nights, etc.? So that's
Fun.
That's a 2. And please feel free, like Josh says, let us know what summer nights inspired in you. Because I know when I was just a listener to this podcast, I would scream at my phone or my whatever I was listening to the podcast on. No, it's this. Let us know.
What
'Cause
is it?
I really love reading stories like that.
Because we all went very different ways.
We
yeah,
did.
that was
Totally.
4 entirely different campaigns
So-
or games.
We're going to do a couple of rounds like that. We're going to go through sci-fi, through horror, through a modern campaign, and maybe we'll go back to fantasy and see how that goes. So who wants to go first?
Which one are we starting with?
Well, I'll let you know when someone decides to go first.
I'll go first. I've got like 5 ideas over here. So
Okay, you get horror.
I get horror. Okay, small coffin.
Small coffin.
So when I hear small coffin and trying to eliminate the dead babies thing, because that's just not interesting to me.
It is a hook, though.
It is a hook, but it is the thing I kind of found interesting about that, though, is because it's horror. Horror. What's interesting about horror is they can fit in any of those other ones you've listed as well, between sci-fi and so. Mine went almost immediately to a fantasy realm where it's been reported that this village of halflings have been completely wiped out by this rampaging monster that they have no idea what it is. So that's kind of where I went first.
Cool.
Interesting. I went to halfling too, but I went with that the halfling in that coffin is undead, and there are special spells that are around it to keep him there so that he doesn't rise, but somehow those spells have been broken, and so the halfling is rising. Basically, now it's an empty little coffin, empty small coffin, and he is going around trying to collect other halflings and turn them undead. So it's like an undead halfling uprising.
Cool. The name of my game is Ring Around the Rosie, and it is a village where a plague has originated at the local orphanage, and the children who start showing symptoms of this begin with coughing. Small coffin. So the town is, as it was, medieval fantasy type thing, old school. They want to shut the entire orphanage down. They want to bar it, and if you're in there, you're in there, and that's how they're going to stop this plague from getting out, except for there's this one problem child who's always broken out of that place. So even if they board up, he has an escape. So this plague is going to get out to the surrounding areas, and it's up to the players to figure out either the cure or how they're going to stop this kid. And that's the horror version.
Mm-hmm. Well, I actually went 2 different ways. I was kind of torn on how to go with this. One, I've always found really, really young vampires to be a serious horror thing because the reason that they're usually made is very horrific, and the fact that they never grow into their adult body, but their minds grow, and how they deal with that, and all that to me is horrific. And then I was also thinking of a baby serial killer that likes to turn the babies into like dolls. So we've got to catch this person, obviously.
And so that's the antagonist.
Right.
That would go right with a great horror theme.
Okay.
You just have to be careful the kind of detail you would get.
Yeah.
with
Yes.
any of that kind of
Kids
stuff.
are a little off limits for a lot of people.
I know.
Yeah.
But
you'd really wanna get
it's
it.
a great hook.
It is.
Kids are a great hook because people don't want to see kids hurt.
There was a Halloween Horror Night. I know this because I watch a vlogger from... This is 2014. I'm watching his vlog. But there's a Halloween Horror Night at Universal. They had a house during Halloween Horror Nights. I'll get it out straight. Called Dollhouse. And it had this very much like dolls that had been taken apart. Dolls that had and that was the theme to it. And apparently it was one of the best houses because it was so just creepy and freaky. And so I kind of went there when you said that. I was like, I can imagine that being...
Well, like when you see a zombie movie, all you have to do is see the empty car seat.
Yep.
Like that's all you have to see.
Right. And you're like, yeah. Yeah. Run screaming. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you have to see. Just the empty baby thing.
Josh.
Yeah.
Yours is sci-fi.
And your 2-word plot hook is bright water.
I think of an electricity-water combination. I'm seeing almost like lightning bolts going through the water, being used to power space station of some sort. There's some sort of chemical in the water that heightens the electrical power of those lightning bolts. So it's stronger with both of them together. But nobody knows how this was made. It's been there for hundreds of years. And so they don't understand this technology, and yet there's a tremendous amount of power in it. And so we are exploring it and trying to understand what exactly what this is. What is the chemical in the water? How is this producing all of the power that is coming out of it to be used for good, of course, because we're a good adventuring party. For our, I don't know, against Starfinder, the Starfinder Society, to be used for good throughout the rest of the realm.
Okay. You are on a crew of exploring spaceship team, whatever. Think of like you're on the USS Enterprise, whatever your ship's name is. Mm-hmm. And you get a call from your command that there's a distress signal coming from deep space. And it is for a shipping vessel called the Brightwater. And there are pirates in the area. So they have either been attacked by pirates or something has happened, and it's up to you and your crew to go rescue them. And if you can't salvage the ship, that at least get the crew back on board and get them to safety.
I love how different we all go with these. The first thing I think of with bright water is like a healing water.
Huh.
Like some kind of bath that you get, like almost like a almost like a fountain of youth type of,
Or Lazarus pit.
or like a like you step into it, you walk into it, you drink it, and you are healed of all ailments or even
Does the knight have
death
to give you the grail
or-
first?
Well,
But that's just what I think of when I think of
dig it.
bright water. So I don't know if this would be like a goal that you would need to go to because somebody in your party died, so you have to get to the bright water to bring him back. And it's not something that can keep. So it's
Right.
not something you can bottle. You have to actually go to the bright water island. But that's what I instantly think of with bright water is healing.
Okay.
Well, I went alien abduction. Reports have come in to your say you have like you're a ragtag group of private investigators who are hearing stories of the supernatural and scientific phenomenon, and someone has reported they've seen a bright light out on the water, and you hear from the reporters that boats have gone missing, and I'm pretty sure Johnny went out into the lake and now he hasn't been home for 3 days, and you take the boat out onto the water and you were abducted, and now you have to kind of deal with it from there. That's where my mind went with it. So before we move on to the next one, I know part of the reason we wanted to do this was to show another way for you to kind of kickstart the creative juices, especially when you're trying to come up with a role-playing game or some sort of story you want to tell. How, just in this quick, it's only been 15 minutes. Do you feel like it's already kind of working?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, just
Yeah.
hearing, first of all, it inspires you creatively to just come up with, what do these two words mean to me? And then having to put a story behind it, it's its own thing. But then hearing someone else's, you can take off of whatever they say, if you're any good at improv or storytelling, and be like, I like that, and then this is what happens next.
Yeah.
And that is a subset of this, is that instead of one person comes up with a hook and then another person comes up with a different hook, it's one person starts the hook, the next person continues the hook, and so on and so on. So there are a lot of different ways you could play this. I just chose to do it this way for time's sake.
No, that's what I was going for. I want to make sure that I love that we're playing the game, but it should be useful for someone as well. So
I definitely, yeah. Because
You
I
definitely,
imagine definitely, yeah.
That's 3 words.
It is. I definitely. Would that be a hook? I don't know.
Hey, good.
When you say it, I start to imagine pictures in my mind, and that's actually what just happened when you said bright water. Is I wasn't seeing words, I was seeing pictures, and so then I'm seeing it, and I'm just describing to people the pictures that I see in your mind, and everybody has a different creative flow. Like some will hear words, some will maybe smell smells, some will hear sounds, and I see pictures, and so I think it's really neat to see how that. If you say something and someone goes, oh, when you said that, I heard this sound in my head, or I heard this line of a movie in my head. I think it would be a neat way for a group to get to know each other, almost to see like, oh, where did your mind go with that particular 2 words? So it's really fun.
All right, Deb, I'm going to give you high fantasy.
Oh, high fantasy. All right, I'm going to say abandoned estate.
this is high fantasy.
This is high fantasy, and it's an abandoned estate.
Abandoned estate. Okay. I'm not that creative this time around, so I'm just going to say that there is a house that has been left to fall apart, and one of the party has been told that they have inherited, that their ancestor, their person, whatever, left it to their closest living relative. And that happens to be you. So you are now to go to this place. And while you're there, you discover an intricate series of hidden doors that lead to tunnels that eventually, like we did with our layer building thing, they lead to a dwarven settlement that is built on top of a dragon horde that is built on top of a salamander village that leads to a drow city. So there's all these intricate tunnels underneath this one place, and now you've inherited this. Are you going to just close that up, or are you going to take that and use it as the exploration phase of your next campaign?
I'm going with, okay, so you're at an abandoned estate, and I'm going with the estate says, like, it's almost its own entity. It must be abandoned.
Ah.
So you have a time limit of how long you're allowed to be in it before it completely dismisses you or shreds you or whatever, before it purges you out, and that may not be healthy for you. But there's something very worthwhile that you definitely want to get to inside this estate, but it likes being abandoned. It doesn't want to be owned. So it considers after a certain amount of time that it is owned, and it won't let you get that far. So it's a time limit thing, or you're severely going to get hurt if you don't get in and out in that time.
So mine kind of went towards a Game of Thrones fan fiction.
Okay.
Where one of the 7 kingdoms has been abandoned. So anything if you've seen any of the Game of Thrones TV series, I know some people that have read the book.
Oh, there are books?
There are books. What? And he'll eventually finish them.
Or he'll die trying.
In the end, it's the person that ultimately wants to sit on the throne. Like, they want to sit on the throne in King's Landing. But they're warring with each other constantly. Like, who's in charge of this? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? And a different approach to that would be, well, what happens if, like, the entire kingdom disappears? Like, what if all of Winterfell, all of the Starks are just gone? They've been abandoned.
Them and everyone in the north just goes to King's Landing.
Yeah, that's it. How do you deal with that? And that's just a whole other story arc. Like, we lost an entire kingdom. Who lays claim to Winterfell? That type of thing.
So my mind went to, it's an estate that is in it's a hard to reach area. It's outside the major town or the major city there. So not many people go by it. But somebody comes back to town because he was out looking for his, I don't know, his animals escaped. Sure. And he was looking for them, and they were in this estate, and the architecture and the design obviously shows it's several hundred years old, but it is in perfect condition. It's as if it was being perfectly cared for, but when he walks around in it looking for, there's nobody there to care for it, and yet it's in pristine condition. So he comes back very confused. He's like, I don't know if it's, like, could it be magic that's keeping it? You know, he's a regular guy. He doesn't know. You know, is it magic that's keeping it this way? Is there a curse on it? Like, are there people living there that we don't know? Like, why is it in perfect condition if it's 480 years old? I imagine then that a party would be put together by maybe the mayor of this town to say, hey, explore this and figure this out because it's not even on our maps. They bring out the current maps. They bring out the maps from like 400 years ago. It's not on our maps. And yet, obviously, it's there. Figure it out. Solve it, adventurers.
Oh.
I'm going to go with modern, so like D20 modern, and the 2 words are sand crabs. Vanessa, stop giggling.
I can't help. It's where I instantly went.
It's because you are married to me.
Sand.
I'm thinking of people that got together on a sandy beach and got crabs. Is where my brain...
That's where crabs live, on the beach.
That's right. That's exactly where they live.
Not those kind of crabs.
But, you know...
Not really quite sure how much of a hook that could be. So I might have to think of something different. Why don't you go, Josh?
Okay. I imagine a disaster movie where
That's
a hurricane or typhoon or almost in the vein of Sharknado.
Oh gosh.
I like where this is going.
Occurs in a particular area, maybe down by the Gulf of Mexico, and
It's always Mexico's fault.
This tropical storm, hurricane thing, whatever, comes slamming into the coast of what makes this interesting is Alabama. As these strong winds and sheets of rain come slamming down, everybody kind of hunkers down like they're expecting, like, this is just another hurricane, this is a tropical storm, until people start realizing that it's raining sand crabs.
That's not hail.
It's not hail at all.
It's kind of like cloudy with a side of meatballs.
Yeah,
too.
cloudy with a chance of meatballs.
Bit,
Yeah.
yes.
But
Cloudy with a chance of crab cakes.
but then the other twist to it is that these are much larger sand crabs.
Oh,
Like
they're
now,
mutant.
yeah, they're mutant
upstairs.
mutant sand crab
crabs.
hurricane. Hurricrab. I don't know. I couldn't come up with a good name, but it was still worked. So I'll go with it.
The sand crabs.
just sand crab. Hurricane Sandy, Hurricane Sand
Hurricane Sandy crabs.
Crab. Gross.
Gross.
Look, did you know that there was also a lava octopus? Lava octopus.
Oh, goodness.
Oh gosh. No, we didn't. We were okay not knowing that too, but okay.
Sharktopus.
okay.
That's what it is. Sharktopus
Sharktopus.
and love octopus.
Oh gosh.
An octopus made of lava. All right, Deb. Sand crabs.
Well, I went with big sand crabs too. Only mine are not in a like Sharknado kind of picture. Mine are. They have been burrowing underneath this particular beach. Pick your beach, and all of a sudden, people start falling in, and they're like, "This should not. You shouldn't be falling in. Like there shouldn't be like." Caverns in a beach, and so people are falling in, and unfortunately some people have not come back. And so you are sent out to investigate. Maybe you're an oceanographer, maybe you're a geologist, maybe you're a crab expert. I don't know. And so these creatures have been burrowing, and you need to figure out, why are they burrowing? Why are they creating these kind of caverns underground? Are they escaping? Like, is there something dangerous in the water? Is there something hunting them? Going through that whole process to figure out, why are they doing this, or are they just trying to kill humans? Why are they doing this, and how can we get them out of there and back where they're not going to harm humans anymore?
And I have mixed all of ours together.
Oh, yes.
So 2 people are on a beach getting crabs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they fall in underneath the giant crab holes that are being made. And they're running away because of this huge hurricane that lifts them up and puts them into a Sharknado and transfers them to Alabama.
And Tara Reid must star in it.
But she won't be there for half of the filming.
No.
Exactly.
Deb, have you ever seen the movie Tremors?
No, I have not.
You described very close to the movie Tremors.
Did I? No, I've never
They're
seen
worms.
it. So yeah.
They're not crabs.
But still, yeah, no, I've never seen it. I have, however, seen Twister. So when Josh is describing Sharknado, I'm picturing like the cow in the tornado when Helen Hunt is like, another cow, and the cow like flies by.
Cow.
See, that makes me think of Wizard of Oz.
Tornado
Tornado and cows.
Yep.
We all go in different places. So what do you think of with sand crabs?
Well, for me, sand crabs aren't creatures. They are people.
Made out
They
of
are
sand?
They're crabby.
elite group of mercenaries that have been sent to the deserts of Afghanistan or Iraq or someplace that we call the sandbox. And they are able to do things that U.S. troops aren't allowed. And they're a very small team. They get in, they get out, and they're just known as the sand crabs. So you have been tapped to be an elite member of this group, a G.I. Joe-like group, except everyone wears the same uniform.
Real American hero.
But it's the best of the best of the best, and you are now on that team, and you have to go take out a target.
Again, very, very different directions. Although Vanessa did smush like 3 ideas together.
Yeah,
into one.
as soon as she
But-
said that, I said, you haven't heard mine yet.
I know, and I knew I wouldn't be able to add yours to it because it's always way out there.
Yep.
That's what I do.
I know.
I like to take things in different directions. So that is a round of 2-word plot hooks. What does anybody think? Any questions? Any insights to it?
Most of them, as I was listening to them, I was smushing together and putting them into one plot hook.
Or one plot.
One plot. Yeah, I was putting it into one plot. I was like, that can merge with that.
And
can merge with that.
And
those can be the people that go and determine that. So you can...
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
So
doing that with pretty much all of them.
We've done one round where everyone comes up with their own. Why don't we try it the other way if there's time, and we'll just continue a single story.
Okay.
Does that sound
Sure.
good?
So each was and to what
Yes,
happened
we
before?
have to add on
Okay.
to the story that came before us.
Okay.
Again, with the same thing. So we'll do horror, sci-fi, fantasy, and modern. Mm-hmm. Josh, why don't you start us off with high fantasy?
High fantasy, and I did write one down here. Swift Judgment.
So then, because I'm to his left, I start the
Sure.
process and it swings around? Okay. There is a dynasty in the kingdom that you are at. They have ruled for 500-600 years at this point, but they are not loved by their people. They are there because of the power that they wield and the control and the way they handle money and the way they handle social. And they're all taught how to do this because they're one family. So, you know, grandma taught the kid who taught the next kid. But the people have been doing a quiet uprising amongst themselves. It's not public yet, but it is. The stirrings are there of. These people have been ruling over us and our ancestors for how long. We must do something about it. And you are one of these commoners, or maybe you're a first level something. Maybe you're an adept. Maybe you're an expert. But you are part of this uprising where you are finally, I've had my fill of this and we ain't going to take it anymore. And at that, I hand it off to Lance.
Okay. But you're all commoners. Is that what you said?
Yes, I
Could
see
be.
this. Yeah. Now, maybe there's one who's a higher. Like maybe you have a wise church person, like maybe a wise cleric.
Okay.
Or you have a wise old man on the corner who knows
I'm digging
everything.
it. I got it from there.
But for the most people, are commoners. But you got a few.
All of these commoners, you being among them, want to do something, but they're just not strong enough. Except that the old man, the wise sage, the cleric, whoever he happens to be, he knows of a weapon that could turn the tide in your favor, and its name is Swift Judgment. It is the sword of the ancients, and with it, you can defeat an army 100 times your size. And that's where I went with that. So your new quest is to gather a party and go in search of the weapon Swift Judgment.
However, there's a catch to getting Swift Judgment. Because once you get this sword that will go and help you with this, it is constantly influencing you and slowly taking you over and absorbing you and making you its wielder, not... It's making the sword wield you, not you wielding the sword if you keep it around too long. And there's that temptation that if you, in a way, sort of.
I mean, I know it's not exactly, but that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it'll make you a constant Swift Judgment, so you won't have that. I mean, if somebody does something wrong, you're just instantly going to annihilate them for it. And you won't have that humanity there to be like, well, maybe he stole the bread because his family is starving.
That understanding, that humanity, that mercy.
Right.
aspect.
So there's that
You're
catch
carrying
to
out
it.
the letter of the law without the spirit or intent of the law.
Right. So it starts changing you. So you have to put it back. You can't keep it.
Ooh, the cost.
All right, Joshy, finish the story.
The question now is, will you?
A moral dilemma.
Question, exclamation point. The end.
I mean,
That was Swift.
That was
we
very
just
judging
did
of you.
we just did the movie trailer. Like, a group of commoners from a very fanciful whatever high city are given a very important task to seek out the weapon that will save any and all of us in this important time. Yet what they do not know is that this weapon will control them and turn them and change them. But the question is will they use it to save the realms or to control it? That's kind of what just happened. So,
all right, movie voice guy, get on that. The guy that did the intro for our podcast. Call him up.
Tell him. Yeah, we got a job for you.
Okay, Deb. You get horror.
horror.
I'm going to go. Well, it almost seems too easy.
Too easy.
No.
Too easy.
Yeah.
Got it.
Too
Yeah. No.
easy.
Yeah.
That was my nickname. And wait a minute.
Well, you could do too easy. I was going to go with Haunted Cottage, but again, that's
Cottage.
too.
That's kind of like abandoned estate.
It is. So how about we do Hidden Heiress, not H. There's no H at the beginning of Heiress.
Hidden Harris.
Heiress. An heiress, but she's hidden. Why is she hidden?
So we went from a hidden building to a hidden person?
No, it was a
abandoned.
haunted cottage. It was abandoned.
Abandoned
It was
building to a
abandoned.
hidden
These are improv games. The response is yes,
Yes, and.
Yes, and no, she's not abandoned. She's hidden.
not abandoned.
The estate was not hidden. It was just abandoned, and the cottage was haunted. But we're not sure if it was abandoned or hidden.
Let's do all three.
Okay, all right. An abandoned haunted estate cottage with
In an abandoned estate,
hidden
in a
heiress
haunted cottage, you
was a hidden heiress.
an heiress is somewhere hidden.
Is hidden in there. There you go.
Find her.
Good luck.
So here is the movie trailer
Yes.
kind of thing, right? You see this poor young lady. I'm thinking like Paris Hilton type.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's poor.
Mascara streaming down her face, eyes red and puffy, hair all over the place, diamond earrings. One is like chipped, the other has been pulled out of her ear, and the like physically pulled so that there's still that cut
Yep,
from where it
it's
was
been-
pulled
yeah,
out.
torn,
She's got tape or some kind of thing covering her face so that she can't scream out.
Right.
And she is in the dark on the floor, completely alone.
Okay.
And like she's sobbing on the floor as she knows, like she's been screaming, she's been crying, she's been trying to get people to help her, but she knows whoever put her there has left her there and no one is coming to get her.
Sounds like Saw.
Sounds like a lot of horror movies.
So yeah. I'm pretty sure that's most horror movies. No, okay, maybe not most, but
Or
a lot of them.
Hostel. You go there, too.
Some defenseless woman gets left in a closet somewhere to die at the hands of the creepy man.
Continue.
Every horror movie of the last 25,000 years.
She ran downstairs or upstairs. She went into the basement, or she went upstairs and didn't
She's
go out
either
the front
taking
door.
a shower upstairs or taking a bath in the basement.
Maybe she's
She
in the attic.
ran upstairs because that's what you do.
That's what you do. Is you run upstairs because that's your best
He
thought.
can't climb stairs. He's an original Dalek.
And I'm going to get stuck trying to climb out of the window.
Right.
Horror movie psychology just never made sense to me.
You're an idiot.
Anyway, Vanessa, take over.
Okay, so it fades to black. And then we come back and we see her all dolled up and pretty. With her earrings in perfectly. And her hair done all nicely. And her makeup all on perfectly. And she's dancing in some...
That's the pre-shot. That's what happened beforehand.
Yeah.
We're getting the pre. We're
prequeling.
pre-show. Yeah,
we're prequeling.
You're prequeling.
Yeah, we got to determine
We
how
are
she
no
get-
longer making a game. We're just making movies.
Yes, exactly.
Is that a problem?
Isn't that what this game is?
And
And keep
no
going.
but.
Yeah.
So as she is dancing with her person, she looks him into the eyes and then realizes they aren't there anymore.
Oh.
The eyes aren't there anymore?
The eyes aren't there anymore.
Oh.
The person she's dancing with is now dead
Oh.
with no eyeballs.
Ooh. That's definitely horror. I like
And so she lets go of them really fast, and he crumples to the floor. And she screams, and like an idiot, she goes up the stairs.
Oh, no.
And then she gets grabbed and pulled into someplace. Your turn, Josh. Her eyeballs, though, are still in her head.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Dan?
good to know. She is still an intact individual.
Or
No,
are
her
they
ear
hers?
is ripped.
Oh.
Ooh, she could be like that one movie where he goes and eats the body parts to replace
Jeepers
his old
Creepers.
ones. Jeepers Creepers.
Okay. So
She could have taken them and not known that she
Hey,
does
hey,
them.
it's his
I'm sorry,
turn.
it's your turn.
What on earth is that?
she is
Her eye
pulled.
color's different.
Gravy. She's pulled into a closet, or at least what she thought was a closet. And when she goes to turn around, she's entered a spiritual realm, that of
Narnia.
of ghosts and ghouls, and is approached by an individual to ask her if she were to return. He tells her that if you are to return, you must do my bidding, otherwise you will stay here with me.
So we're out of the prequel now.
No, yes.
Okay.
Well, you pulled her into a closet. So
Pulled her somewhere.
whatever.
It was somewhere.
She is in a spiritual realm. I
Okay.
said spiritual realm.
Okay,
Doesn't
okay.
matter what time frame. It's the spiritual realm. It could be 15 years from now.
That's true.
Okay. All right.
I'm just trying to keep the story
I
straight
know
in my
that.
head.
I know
okay?
that. Okay.
You're the original
No.
Haunted Cottage?
No.
No,
'cause
heiress, the abandoned
It was the
heiress.
abandoned heiress.
Hidden heiress. It wasn't abandoned.
Hidden heiress.
Hidden. Hidden heiress.
So, anyways-
it was an abandoned estate, but a hidden
This is
heiress.
just a bad game of telephone. Is what's going on right now.
That's exactly right.
So, she actually agrees to this creature's terms, and is then ejected from said closet. And
She came out of the closet.
Yeah, she
I'm not going there,
a
but
whole nother movie.
When she awakens, there are a group of. She actually has to unzip herself from a body bag, and sees that there are police and all of these people around, and they run screaming because they were convinced she was dead.
If I had a nickel for every time,
Every time
You had
they
to
were
unzip
running,
yourself out of a body
screaming.
bag?
That's right.
I would have a nickel.
As she sits up,
She sits up. She looks at her body, her hands, her arms, or, she's unzipped herself out of the whole body bag and looks down, and she sees that she is covered in dried blood. She stands up, and there is a mirror in this room because why not? And she looks at herself. She sees that her eyes are a different color and that the earrings have been ripped out. There's, it looks like someone has yanked tape off of her face. She's got like red marks, like a red rectangle, like around her mouth where the tape was over her mouth at one point. Then she looks down and she sees that the dried blood is being absorbed back into her skin. And there's almost like tiny rivers going through her skin as that blood absorbs into her. And she's feeling oddly light and oddly free and giggling, actually, a little bit
She's
at
monkey.
this. She's feeling very lively. She's feeling just like, I just want to go out and just experience everything out there and share this feeling with everybody that I come in contact with, because I've never felt so alive in my life. As she looks down and her skin has got an odd tint to it. Fade.
Cool. All right, I'm going to take sci-fi, and your two words to start with are crystal planet. Crystal planet.
Crystal Planet.
for what genre?
Sci-fi.
Okay.
Sci-fi. So there's this itty bitty little girl, about 6 or 7, upstairs in her room. And she absolutely loves space and she loves astronomy. And she has gotten a telescope for her birthday. And she's staring up into the sky, and she sees this itty-bitty little dot, and she's so convinced that she has found a new planet. So she names it Crystal's Planet. So she starts making it, and she starts like with paper mache and all that kind of stuff. And the more imagination that she puts into it as she's making her planet, as she's making her Crystal's Planet, things start to move on the planet. Things start to grow on the planet. The planet starts to actually take her thoughts and her imagination, and it takes it into it, and she's making her own Crystal Planet.
Fast forward a few years, and the planet has actually grown significantly in size. But somehow the parents seem like totally okay with this, and it now takes up position in the garage. There are people living, breathing, walking, just, of course, the tiniest of people, but there are just more and more and more of them. And it begins to have its own gravitational pull. And this young lady is graduating from high school, and she's coming home from her graduation, and she notices that the garage door has started to buckle in. Hoping that she can react quickly, she goes to open the garage door, and when she does, she realizes that the planet has started to move. And as the planet begins to move, it starts to glow. It's giving off some sort of, it feels warm to her, but some type of a radiation, of an energy. She's not sure if it's a life force or if it's not sure exactly what it is, but she can feel it as she approaches it, especially once the garage door was lifted up, because apparently garage door could block it. She knows she has to get this planet out of her garage before it destroys her home and the people there. So she, her best friend's dad is a dump truck. He works in construction, so he has access to like big machines and big things. So asks him to come over and help her move this under the guise of, I don't want it anymore. It's not cool. Like, it's something I did when I was a kid. I just, I don't need it anymore. Taking up space in my parents' garage. Can you help me get this somewhere else? So best friend's dad, has known her whole life, basically. Sure, no problem. Goes, helps get in this, and he comments, he's like, it's kind of warm. And it's like, yeah, well, it's been sitting in the garage. It gets hot in the garage. It's May in Indiana. It's hot. Oh, okay. All right. So as he is driving this, she's in there with him. They're lined up. I don't know, picture like the driver, the best friend, and the girl kind of lined up in the front seat. And suddenly it becomes very hard to drive this dump truck. And it seems like they're going slower, and it's rattling and shaking, and it's just not operating the way that it's supposed to. And then...
Okay. So the dump truck isn't moving the way it's supposed to, because the planet has finally achieved its own gravitational force, pull, whatever, that it can now pull or push objects depending on what it wants to do. And the people that are down there have grown with this planet, watching this girl grow up, watching this, and they don't want to leave, because to them, she's their god.
Right.
So
she's their creator.
Trying to take it away it's not going to work.
Right.
But again, the planet continues to grow, and it starts to push the house to pieces. And cracks develop in the street nearby. and eventually it grows significantly so that it's destroying not only her house, not only her thing. It's big enough that it has now crushed this dump truck. Mm-hmm. And the people that are on the planet are growing in size, and they're trying to call to their god, this crystal person, to come be with them. Her world is dying. Come be with them. And we're going to end it with her screaming no at such a high pitch that it shatters the crystal.
Cool.
I think that was another movie. Or at least it was the opening of the movie.
We're not doing games anymore.
We skipped games, went straight to movie.
Honestly, games are cinematic.
Yes.
And this could be a one-person RPG.
Yes. Yes, it could.
Through the POV of one of your players. If it's, say, you're playing with only one other person, online, whatever, since it's all theater of the mind, we can do that.
Absolutely.
Vanessa, you get modern games. Games.
I know. I'm trying to decide between these two. Uninvited guest.
A man and his family is sitting down for dinner. Been a long day at work. They're trying to catch up. Ask the wife how her day was. See how the kids' days in schools were, and just having your good old fashioned suburban dinner. The doorbell rings. Husband goes.
I thought you were ending it there and handing it off to Deb. Like, wow, that was a short hook.
That was all right.
Doorbell
Dinner,
rings.
gotcha.
Husband goes to answer the door, and standing outside is his wife's ex. No idea why he's there, but he has always tried to be very cordial with this individual, so he goes ahead and invites him in to, how's it going? They kind of spark up a conversation.
The ex is rather dodgy about why he's there. They talk, how's the job? And that kind of awkward, friendly thing that can sometimes happen. Very dodgy. Will not explain why. Around the corner comes the wife, and she's also surprised to see the ex there. And then the wife notices that the ex has a watch on, and the watch is one that she recognizes. But the wife says, that was the watch that my grandfather used to wear. Why do you have the watch my grandfather used to wear? He never gave that to you. He was only alive for like a year after we got married, and then he passed away. So how do you have that watch? And then the ex looks really uncomfortable. The ex is very shocked that she noticed the watch, and he starts to hem and haw, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't have come by. I shouldn't have been interrupting your dinner. So he's standing up and he's trying to leave the house, and
suddenly gunfire tears through the window of the house, and he yells them all to get on the ground, and the gunfire continues for a little bit. He's throwing things in the way, and he's pushing buttons on his watch. And long story short, he is a member of a secret organization that her grandfather was also a member of. And that's how he got the watch, is that it gets passed from one member to another, a la Kingsman, the name gets passed on. Well, this is your watch gets passed on, and his only caveat for getting it was that he had to protect her at all costs, and he knew that these people were coming to hurt her because she was related to her grandfather, and she might have some information that leads to something that he had done or had hidden during his time in the organization. So now the X is protecting her at all costs, and he's pulling something out of the watch weaponry wise, and that's where I'm going to pass it off to Vanessa.
That's totally different from where I was going to go with this.
You're welcome.
It was going to be like vampire-y, but which would be more horror, I guess, so that wouldn't make much sense. So good thing you went with the more Knights Kingsman thing. I almost want to make the watch almost like the Jack, like the time travel watch.
But is that sci-fi?
That's true, it's not very modern.
The time vortex manipulator.
Is that what it's called? This watch?
The vortex manipulator, yeah.
I think you're
It's a
making stuff
TARDIS
up.
watch.
Yeah, apparently.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's
I know.
sci-fi though, right?
It's,
So I'm-
cheap time travel.
It's made by the company DeLorean.
Or counterfeit time travel, I think, or something like that's what he called it.
Okay, so he's pushing on the watch, which, since this is the house that the grandfather and the grandmother used to live in, it activates a lockdown system that puts up a whole bunch of, puts coverings over all the windows and coverings on the door, and locks them. Now they're locked into the house with all of these people outside trying to get in to get to her, and it's not going to last forever, so they have to figure out a way to get out in safety without her or their family being hurt.
It's a Masonic
the uninvited
lockdown.
guests isn't the X, it's the people outside firing in.
Gotcha.
He's actually there to protect them.
There
Right.
it is. That's a very nice X. Well, I guess that's the only way he can stay.
We don't know if it's like the stepdad or if there was a split family, and we don't know what's going on there.
Right. He could have kids in there.
Development,
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
exposition.
Oh, further developments as events
And-
warrant.
That's another round of 2-word plot hooks. How are we doing on time?
Time to finish up.
Okay.
So, I hope you take advantage of a game like that and utilize it to stir your creativity. Sometimes just doing that, like a round or two of that before a role-playing session, could kind of help get the creative juices
Could be a
flowing.
good session 0.
It could be.
If everyone's trying to build the story together. There was a game where everyone had to build the planet, and then the next game was live on the planet. I think I heard of this game at one of the Fear the Cons. This could be a very good, you build the world in which you have to live. And then the next game is, okay,
I think
start
Zach
living.
Lorton ran that.
Yeah. Where you're all gods and you're creating
Yep.
a world, and then you have to play characters in it.
I think
Yeah.
Don actually took that idea for the Pathfinder game that he's been running and did something similar. So, yeah. Well, that was fun. I'm glad we had that idea.
I have a fact.
Oh, do you now?
I
Well,
do.
hold on. Episode 214, we established that just because we establish a fact, it doesn't make it true.
That was not the only fact.
The bonus fact being you can use your gaming tech in the bedroom. That's true. I'm just saying.
No, you can't.
Put video game consoles in there all the time.
You've had to work from home. I mean, and that's in your
That's
office.
what they call it.
Yep, that is absolutely what we call it because that's what it is.
DualSense controllers coming soon. Anyways,
Vibroshock.
The fact. Game stories
The fact.
can be turned into video movies.
Movie trailers.
Yes. Yeah.
game
Yep.
stories can be movie trailers. We'll say that.
Vanessa's first fact.
Yay.
Hey.
But with that, thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the last hour or so. And in honor of Don, who is totally fine, by the way. Every time I say in honor, it feels like somebody, just like the Teresa Hickman in
He's
memoriam.
got the Rona, doesn't he?
No, he doesn't. Thank the
He's
Lord.
got the Black Plague.
No,
No, he
the
doesn't
white
have
plague.
Concrud because we haven't been going to any conventions.
That's right.
Spanish flu.
Nope.
I hope not.
I hope not
A little
either.
old for today. Either
Someone
way,
last night.
we will catch you later.
Deuces.
Bye.
Please visit us at www.theestablishedfacts.com and our Facebook page, facebook.com/theestablishedfacts. If you would like to support us by buying some merchandise, visit cafepress.com/castingrobot.
Bonus